This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the second annual Growth Capital Expo in Las Vegas 2015. I have with me Ivory Sully from the MLFB, Major League Football. Ladies and gentlemen, the symbol is MLFB on the OTC. Ivory, welcome back to SNNLive.
Oh, Shelley, thanks so much for having me back. I'm just so pleased to be here.
And of course, you know, I'm a fan.
Thank you so much. That's great that you're a fan. We have something to be a fan about, I'll tell you.
Okay, so let's get your overview out to the audience first.
Okay, so Major League Football is a starting up professional football league that is going to be playing in the spring of 2016 with 10 teams. It is a single entity operation that we have, and we are going to be targeting more younger, millennial, and we're going to go into secondary markets such as the San Antonios of the world, the Birminghams of the world, somewhere where there's not a Major League Baseball team or an NFL football team, and really concentrate and really focus in on that community.
So what was the research that you did to realize that this was something that the market would need?
Well, you know, the NFL is the number one sport in America. Football overall is the number one sport in America. And so what we decided to do was put the formula that a sport such as soccer had put together, which is a single entity operation, and soccer had put this thing together for the Major League Soccer League, and they had been tremendously successful, all right, by their targeting and the way. So if we put football and layer football on the top of that instead of soccer, oh my gosh, it's going to be unbelievable. And so I think that's really where the idea came from. Football is played and enjoyed. You know where you're going to be on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. That's the bottom line.
Is there anything different about the game in the Major League Football than there is in the NFL?
Thank you so much for asking that question. We are not going to be a gimmick league. We are playing 100% football. I played 9 years in the NFL. I wouldn't accept anything else but real American football. We're going to be doing some things that might enhance the game, for example. And so there is a way of experimenting with several things in our training camps, and then maybe bringing it into our game, such as the ground does cause a fumble in Major League Football, for example.
I look at it also like, there are problems in the concussion area, for instance, and, how do you start to experiment in the game? So I think it's really good to have, your league to start experimenting, for instance, with a different kind of helmet, different kind of communications, all of the technology that would eventually go into the NFL, might be tested appropriately in your league. I'm just offering that as a suggestion.
That's not only a suggestion, that's what we're going to do. And it's very important to know that technology is very important for what we are going to do going forward. Testing out the concussion situation, we have a whiteboard where we can probably go a few more steps than maybe the NFL can't for certain reasons. And we are going to be taking those steps that would take us to the next level of research and development of to reduce concussions in the game overall, and which maybe one day might be taken up by the NFL.
So let me ask you a question. Let's get to the business side of the league. Are these going to be individually owned teams? Are the owners going to be providing the stadiums? What's the metrics? How does that come through?
The metrics are, when we start out this thing, it's going to be single entity, which means the league is going to own all 10 teams. And from that, we are going to put out an environment and put out the way we do business as Major League Football. Maybe after 3 or 4 years, there might be a formula that we come back to put the teams up for franchise availability for someone to come in and buy. But initially, very important, because we can set the ground running with our environment, with our technology, with our dynamic approach to certain things, how we handle our players, the transition of our players out of the league into real life, which is a real big step that we're having to take with players, because that's one of the biggest problems that NFL players have. After you play the game, where do you go? I don't know where I go. Well, we're going to have programs in place, because it's really about the player at the end of the day that we're most concerned about, having that next step. If they don't make it to the NFL, then they have a way to make it in life.
So business-wise, again, another question. Without a TV contract, it's hard to produce the kind of revenues for the kinds of growth that you would want in the league. So that's step number one. My question is, what about TV? Number two, where do the stadiums come from? How is that covered financially? Those are my two questions.
Very good. So, TV first. The platform for TV has changed immensely, and the environment of getting a TV deal has changed. Do you know that over the next 10 years, over $100 billion will be in TV deals in sports alone? Over a 10-year period. That's an amazing amount of money. So the play here really is about the content, and the platforms that are available now are over 8,700 platforms, including network television, cable, digital. You have the Hulus and the Netflix and all these new avenues for producing television. And what's happening is these vehicles are recognizing that there is a lack of content. What greater content than to put the number one sport in America on television, okay? Or on a streaming system, or on doing that. The NFL this year is going to be experimenting with streaming with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills. Those two cities will be the only cities that the NFL will present to the television audience. The rest of the country and the rest of the world will have to go online to the streaming presentation of this. This is where the thing is going. There are a lot more opportunities to get involved with a television deal and monetize it quickly as opposed to before, okay? The landscape has changed dramatically. So with regard to television, there's a lot of opportunity up there on how we put our product out there. And a lot of it is through the streaming channel, through the repeat and playback of it. There's a monetization opportunity there no matter what. So content is key. There's a glut in content. People need content. We're a great content resource. The second question you asked, I'm sorry.
Stadiums.
The stadiums, we are going into existing stadiums. And our biggest thing is not to go into places where we can't fill up or put butts in the seats. We don't want a 100-seat stadium right out of the box. We are ideally, and going into these secondary markets, what they have is these stadiums that are 25 to 40,000 seat stadiums, and these are reasonable things that we can probably attend to for our fans to go to the game and not have a situation where you're looking at a sparse amount of people in the seats. We're going to create an environment where people are going to want to come to the game aside from just the football. We're going to create the environment for music, for coming in and having a food experience, coming in having an opportunity to purchase product that you don't ordinarily see. There's going to be an environment. If you look at the Seattle Sounders, that's the best example that I can give to. They have March to the Match, and they have ambassadors, and they have these gathering places before the game, and it's an occurrence that is going to happen. We're going to concentrate on the occurrence and the environment at each of these stadiums that exist now currently, and then as time goes on, we have conversations with certain people to have a stadium formula come up for us where we would develop these stadiums in the multi-use stadium type of formula in these secondary markets.
So let's get your website out there loud and clear.
Okay, www.mlfb.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ivory Sully, MLFB, Major League Football, symbol MLFB on the OTC. It's a publicly traded company. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live at the second annual Growth Capital Expo in Las Vegas, 2015. Ivory?
Shelley, thank you so much for having me, man. God bless you, man.